Hello, hello, and welcome back to the channel. It has been a while, several months, since I've been able to get on here and do any updates or content at all. Unfortunately, there's been a lot going on for me with work and medical and everything else. So I want to do a quick, brief update before we get into the first of a series of catch-up content pieces. The first one being Romanceopoly, which is this one. Then we've got some Herkiad stuff and Pelican Valley and a whole bunch of other ones that we need to get caught up on so that we're able to hopefully get into August with a fresh start and able to jump into normal, standard content that we were doing before all of this craziness went down. So, where have I been? Mostly resting, to be completely fair. I have had some medical stuff going on. Essentially, I got sick, and it was a bit more than a cold, but it wasn't like craziness. But that set off one of my chronic illnesses, which set off another one, and it kind of spiraled into barely being able to get through just like work. And that was pretty much it for a while there. It was a lot. Went into a couple of doctors, got some new plans in place. Had to fly to Texas to see one of my doctors that I see a couple times a year outside of our standard rotation because we needed to make some adjustments. And I'm finally starting to feel more like myself on my new regimes and my new plans of action that are going on just in general. But yeah, I'm doing a lot better. I am still more tired than I would have been a few months ago, but other than that, I feel much more like myself, more than I have in a long time, which is great, and I'm very excited about it. So, if there's like specific questions, feel free to ask, but um, we'll jump right in for now, so you aren't having to sit and hear me jabber a little bit on. So, let's jump over to Romanceopoly, where we're going to start. All right, so I thought about putting little check marks in everywhere I finished, but I figured it would take away the beauty. It's just such a really fun. I like this map. I think it's really cute. Plus, there are some things on here that either wouldn't get checked off, or there are things that don't necessarily fit perfectly. Anyway, I was like, do I want to? Do I not want to? I'm not 100% sure. But almost everything would be checked off at this point anyway, so I ended up deciding maybe we skip it this time. I probably should have started at the beginning if I was going to do that. So we already went through all of these ones, so I'll skip straight over. Classes, a couple of these were completed since we last chatted. Muted, I did volume 1 and volume 2. This is volume 2, Fit for Crying Room. And then Done and Dusted, Fit for Compass Wing. I believe everything else I had completed before. We started on this, and both of them ended up being 3 stars, which for me means that I liked it, but I probably wouldn't reread it. All right, Dark Psychology. I believe I had finished all of those before we took a bit of a break, or I took a bit of a break. But here's the ones I chose. Fantasy was also one that had already been completed before I took my little break, as was Paranormal Studies. Romantic Arts, I believe the only one I hadn't had on here was Breaking the Fucking Rules, which ended up coming out as a 4-star. And I read that for Corporate Affairs. Now, technically, this fits under Corporate Affairs, in my opinion, because they both work for the same team. She works in an office / I believe marketing capacity, and he works as a player for the team. So they're both working for the same organization. So, and there is actually an office because she works in an office part of the time. So office romance. But if you disagree, I've got a couple other ones I could throw in here. So let me know if you disagree, and I will sub it out for another one. It's just the first one that I had read that I felt fit there and didn't fit anywhere else better. Historic. So I have not read that many historical studies, and none of them since, or any 4 historical studies, and none of them since we took a break. But I sat down the other day when I was getting everything filled in and updated so that I could do this recording, and found books that would fit all of these so that I could hopefully get them knocked out sometime in the next few months. Um, so for Course at Hull, I'm thinking about going with Foxglove by Adeline Grace. And for Courting Conservatory, A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare. And I don't know anything about either this one or the one I chose for Bastion Hall. They were on lists of ones that would fit. I believe this one um, was for Duke, and then Lily Kleypas's Devil in Winter fit the Wallflower section on Bastion Hall. Until I read it, I won't know for sure on both of those, but that is the suggestion. And if you guys have other options that you, especially if you think they're like really, really good, 3, 4, 5 stars, let me know. If you're like, hey, this was really good, I really enjoyed it, I think that you would like it. Would love to hear some of those suggestions because, like I said, this isn't really my favorite subgenre, and it's not one I regularly spend a lot of time in. So I don't know who the best authors are, or even necessarily what I should be looking for. Alrighty then, so clubs. I feel like most of them were, if not already done, were very close to being done last time we caught up. So Hearts and Spoons, 99.9% sure this one was completely done, but here are the ones I had completed for that. And then Nightshade also was completed. I don't know, I think I subbed out Cursed and Claimed, but I don't remember if I did that originally or recently for Accidentally Wedded to a Werewolf and put that one in there. I think I did it originally. Popped it in here before we chatted, or last time we chatted. Secret Stacks. Just Stab Me Now, I believe I had just read, and that was the latest one on this page. So I guess this one was already done as well. Theta Tau Theta, though. Lawson and potentially Game On, I believe I have read since our last catch up, and maybe even Pretty Little Wolf. This one was one that I was in the middle of working on, if I recall, when we stopped. But ones that I liked on all of these on here, I liked, but they weren't absolute favorites. But I enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun reading them. Of these ones, I think I may have liked Pretty Little Wolf the most, just because I thought it felt cute and an easy read, lovely, just nice time, very chill, relaxing. And at the time, that is something that I was definitely looking for. All right, then we move on to events, and obviously the first event had already completed before I took a break, or right around the time I'd already finished them all out. I think we were still a month left technically into finishing this, but I'd already completed it. But then we get to Bloom and Brawl, which definitely occurred while I was out, and here are the ones I did there. All of them were 3-star reads. My sort of standout, wasn't expecting to enjoy it nearly as much as I actually did, was This Is How You Lose the Time War. It was really well done, and for such a short book, I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't expect it. Everything kept saying it was a romance, and it had all of these different acclaims. My brain's a little slow still. Apologies, but a lot of different people were saying amazing things about it, and I was just like, I'm not sure if that's gonna be one for me. I adored it. I finished it in one evening. It was fairly short. I believe I read it on audiobook, but it was on my way to and from chorus. So in like 3-ish hours, a little under 3 hours, I finished this one and was a little sad that I didn't have more, because I would have loved to have seen what happened after the end of the book. I would have liked a little bit more sort of back to their childhoods. There was a lot of places that I would have liked more lore and more info, or just further continuance of the story. But it was also the right length, I think, for um, the story, which that's something I don't often say when it comes to short books. That I think that it's the right length. I'm usually like, give me more. It wasn't long enough. I didn't feel connected enough to the different characters. And I don't think that with this one. I think that I felt connected enough to each of these characters that I was able to go along for the ride and really understand what was going on with them and why they were making the choices they were making. And even if I didn't agree necessarily with everything that they were making decision wise, I got it. I was like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I feel like we could totally chat and maybe even like sit down for a cup of coffee, and it'd be great. But yeah, it's like, is this how the future is really gonna go? I could see that maybe. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I would definitely suggest it. I don't necessarily think that this is a super standard romance pick. It is a sci-fi romance, but it is a sci-fi story where romance is it's not even romance, it's love is a huge part of the story about the reasons why things happen, but it isn't a standard romance in that you're not going to see the couple together on page at the same time much at all. Um, Lots of letters and signs and things like that, rather than these two people are falling in love in person and you're seeing them together. I mean, you can see it's zero spice level, but yet you end knowing that they absolutely adore and love each other on such a deep level, which, like I said, I wasn't expecting it and I really liked it. Muted. I have talked about Muted Volume 2 before, and I did actually read this on Webtoon rather than on the paper printed versions, if that matters. But I did finish the entire webcomic. This one was one I also found myself finishing fairly quickly. I don't know. I think the reason that it didn't go to a 4-star is because of that. I felt like I needed a little bit more from some of the characters um, to understand them a little bit better. But I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. The entire thing I finished in like 2 days, maybe, for all the entire webcomic. And I enjoyed it. Magic system is there. Interesting things when the forbidden happens and what does that look like and why is it forbidden, and lots of discussions about um, family and lineage and what does love mean and what is magic and what is a family, what is love, you know. This is another one I wouldn't say necessarily is a standard romance, but it does have a romance subplot that is very prominent. So I went ahead and counted it towards um, Heartstopper Hustle. Here, if you disagree and you've read it and you're like, no, I really don't think it should fall in here, let me know. But it does center around the main character who ends up. I don't know if I can tell you that if you haven't read it, but there is a romantic relationship slash ships going on in several different parts of the story, especially towards the end. You start seeing different things come into play, um, and the love of different characters, and some of that being familiar love, some of that being romantic love, definitely plays a key in the story. All right, then we get to Heat Wave Cup, which is what's going on right now, and I'm almost done with it. I've got about 2 or 3 hours left for, well, less than 3 hours, probably like 2 hours left in Susan Break the Curse, so I will probably finish that pretty soon. And then I have about the same for Shield of Sparrows left as well. I'm actually reading them both at the same time. One's an ebook and one is an audiobook, and I tend to have a couple of things in the air at any given time. Usually I have, almost always, I have an audiobook of some kind for when I'm driving or doing chores, etc. And then I'll often have an ebook, maybe a physical book as well, potentially a graphic novel or something similar to that also at any given point. So I've got lots of things. I'm definitely a mood reader and lots of things going on. But I have every intention, and I cannot foresee a end of July where I've not finished Heatwave Cup. Right now, they are both leaning towards 3 stars. I started I started the Midlife Magic series, Welcome to Midlife Magic series in, was it June? It was either very late May or in June, and I am loving it. The main character, Susan, has, um, they tell her she's a breakdown, and it has to do with menopause, and she tried to kill her husband, and she was sent off to a psych ward, and then she got out, and now she's paying basically her entire check to her ex, as sort of in recompense for everything that went down, and she lost her house, and she lost her job, and she is having a midlife crisis of a very sad degree because everything that could go wrong feels like it went wrong, and she is living a pretty sad existence trying to get everything back up. And um, her ex's affair partner is now, married and pregnant and keep popping up and trying to get even more from her, and but also pretending she's this perfect angel baby, and it's a whole thing. And but anyway, she is in a midlife crisis of magical degree, more or less, because no, none of that's true. She is the chosen one, and I'm like, wait, the chosen one is always like a teenager. No, no, a 40-year-old office worker, office manager specifically. She's in management at an office. Um, is the chosen. There are fae, there are monsters, there are all kinds of magical creatures, and chaos. And I am absolutely adoring this series. The first one was my favorite, but I will definitely be finishing it up. This is book 3, and book 4 I plan on finishing up probably before the end of August. They are ebooks, so they do take me a little bit longer to read because audiobooks are faster because they just are, than physical eyeball reading, at least for me. So yeah, I definitely suggest reading this one, especially if you, like me, are no longer um, in your early 20s and you're like, hey, I'd like to see someone sort of like me going out there and kicking butt and taking names and especially I work at an office. Well, I work from home, but I work at an office, and so all the different things that she's like, yeah, and this is how I'm handling this situation. Da 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 da. And I'm just like, yeah, I see you, Susan. I would totally hire you, Susan. Anyways, I am enjoying this one, and that was a lot of fun. Steamed was less fun. It's on the lower end of a 3-star for me. I really like Katie McAllister books usually, but this one was not my favorite of her series. There is one more after this, so I may finish it out just for the completionist side of things, but it doesn't look like there have been any published in the last couple years, so I don't know if that's just that it's a duology and it's done, or if it just didn't continue on. It's a series, but it was not my favorite. I gave it 3 stars because I thought it was interesting, and the characters um, had some changes, and it worked well enough. The plot was fun, but I just kept finding myself putting it down, and it just wasn't one that like kept me involved. And so yeah, I left it as a 3, but it was a low end of a 3 for me. Um, Normally completing a series, especially if there's only 2, is a no-brainer. Um, this one has me going back and forth about if I want to or not, which is not standard for me. So we will see, but at some point I may if I have time. Um, with everything else, like nothing comes up and I have nothing else to read, maybe I'll pick up the other one. But it is one that I'm currently going to be putting on my um, pause list with the potential to move it all the way into the enough long term, depending on how long it sets and things like that. Now, Hot for Hostage. Adorable, but a bit slow paced at the beginning. So essentially, he works for the mafia and she works for a dog shelter. Um, but it's more of like they find. I don't think it's just. I don't think it's shelter. It's a little bit more intensive than that. She's also a student, and she is a culinary arts student when she wants to open her own dog biscuit bakery. That is her plan. The dog on the cover is Bear, and a bear is a little bit larger than I think it shows here in reality. Like he is described as massive and fabulous. I love Bear. He's wonderful. I'm like I don't I have tiny pets, but I would like to cuddle with Bear. Bear is adorable, and she needs to get Bear back because he has been dog napped, and she wants his help because she's been told, hey, um, this family basically runs the town, and you should never like cross them. And she's like, you know what? Like I'm at a point. So she takes him hostage. And then the stories go it goes back and forth and he's like, "Yeah, I'll play along with this. Let's see how it goes." And it is described as a mafia dark romance comedy. And I would say that is accurate. It doesn't take itself seriously. It is ridiculous. There's a lot of miscommunication, which is why I put it under double faulted desires on there. And there are definitely points where I was like, "Come on." But because it had the purposeful comedy in there and I was understanding that like I went in knowing it was going to have um some of that going on in there. I was like, okay, I know what I'm getting into, not a problem. I do think some of it could have been removed and shortened out a bit and it would have made the pacing better and I would have been much more um glued to this one and I would have probably rated it a little bit higher, but I don't know how much over. I don't know that even that would have taken it all over to a 4 star, but I did have fun with it. I finished it in a couple of days. It wasn't one that I was like reading every single chance I could get, but I did finish it in, less than a week. It was an ebook, so it wasn't an audio, and I liked it. Had a fun time. All right. So, obviously we're not going to get to Final Frenzy because that is in the fall. And study sessions, I haven't done any of the study sessions. I may pick up a couple of these books because some of them look really interesting, but I only did January, February, and I didn't do any of the ones after that. As you can see here, we are officially on the second page, and I haven't done any of those either. I don't know what the other ones are going to be, but July is here, and I have not done the July one. I may pick it up and do it. I don't know if I'll have time though, because it's already halfway through the month just about, and I have a ton of things to get done, not just for reading, but I have some music I need to get memorized for my quartet and for um, chorus, and we're getting ready for Oktoberfest here pretty soon for dance, and that's all like not even work stuff. I'm getting caught up on things that I wasn't 100% able to stay caught up on while I wasn't feeling amazing. um, on top of all things. So I'm going to try to take things a little bit slower for a few months until I can fully say that I am caught up in all parts of my life and then sort of get a little bit more detailed in what I'm doing. But I am going to hit at least the bare minimums, knock out all of my basic monthlies and quarterlies and things like that. So I'm not falling further behind, but I may not necessarily do all of the what are we calling them, the options that I wanted to do originally, just because I don't think I'm gonna have the time, unfortunately. But yeah, I am excited to be back. Let me know what you've been reading in my absence because I need to um, readjust my TBR now that I am back, figure out what needs to be put higher up my list, what doesn't, etc. And then I'm getting ready for Herkid 3.0. I actually just read my first one for that one just the other day. So I'll definitely be doing an update on 3.0 where I am as we get started on that one, and an update on 1.0. 2.0 obviously is over, so that one will be a really quick one because there was only a couple of things that needed to get done from where we were last time, as I was already into playing catch up with 1.0. I did not finish, unfortunately, in the time I had given myself, which was 6 months. To be fair, that's a lot of books to read on top of everything else in 6 months. But I didn't do a bad job either, and I'm gonna continue to try to finish it up by the end of the year. So we'll chat about that one when we get there. But everything else, I think I'm pretty close to being caught up with on at least the bare minimum requirements. So we'll do a bunch of these quick catch ups, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!